Divine revelation, you have miraculously passed the heavenly test. 3 powerful signs confirmed. In the quiet embrace of a quaint English village, the air hung heavy with anticipation. Sarah's heart thudded in rhythm with the flickering candles illuminating the church as whispers of divine revelation rippled through the congregation. She felt it, a pulsing energy, as if heaven itself were paying a visit. The news of her young son Jacob's illness had cast a shadow, yet here, amid the faithful, a spark of hope ignited like a beacon in the dark. As the preacher's voice soared, miracles await those who believe. The church seemed to hum with a divine resonance. Suddenly, the sunlight broke through the stained glass windows, casting beautiful prisms of color that danced like angels in flight. The weight of despair lifted slightly. Couldn't it be a sign? For Sarah, it felt like a celestial promise whispered directly into her soul. Later that night, Sarah reflected on the miraculous moments. Just a day before, Jacob had drawn a picture of a radiant sun, its rays encompassing him and a figure skyward. "Look, Mom! I can touch heaven!" he had exclaimed, his eyes sparkling with innocence. The drawing hung on the fridge, a bittersweet reminder of joy amidst uncertainty. The first sign, perhaps, of what was to come. The day of the prayer vigil was enveloped in a sense of sacred urgency. A crowd gathered at the local church dedicated to St. Jude, their beloved patron for the hopeless. They clasped hands, eyes closed, voices raised in a chorus of prayers. "Heal, mighty God. Restore Jacob to wholeness." It felt as if the walls themselves resonated with their supplications. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As midnight approached, fervent prayers turned to song, the hymns rising like incense before the throne of grace. Then, suddenly, a brilliant light pulsed through the gathering, illuminating faces that glowed with awe. A shooting star split the heavens. Gasps echoed, hearts quickened, and the congregation collectively held its breath. Was this the sign they sought? Sarah's spirit soared, each pulse of that light igniting a deeper resolve within her. Just then, Sarah caught sight of a figure at the altar's edge, a soft glow, barely perceptible, yet undeniably present. It felt like a warm embrace, a gentle reminder that they were not alone on this journey. She recalled the verse that had resonated in her heart earlier that night, "For I know the plans I have for you." Tears streamed down her face, divine hope washed over the vigil like a cleansing rain. As the first light of dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of pink and gold, something extraordinary occurred. A hush blanketed the room as they focused on a figure stirring in the pew. It was Jacob. As if woken from a deep slumber, he blinked slowly, a serene smile spreading across his face as pain slipped away, replaced by the tender reassurance of healing. Sarah's heart thundered, disbelief battling joy. There, in the collective silence, a miracle unfolded, wrapping the village in a tapestry of faith and love. Yet as praises erupted, questions loomed. What would this miracle demand of her? What unfolding divine mystery lay ahead? The village buzzed with wonder, and Sarah felt the stirring of a new chapter, one that beckoned her deeply to explore the essence of divine presence and purpose. Jacob's awakening sent ripples of disbelief and joy throughout the church. A cacophony of voices broke the silence as people rushed to embrace him, tears of relief mingling with laughter. Sarah stood limply for a moment, held captive by the sight of her vibrant boy. The heaviness of the past weeks fell away, like a veil lifted to reveal sunlight. "Is it true, Mum? Am I really better?" Jacob's eyes sparkled with childlike wonder, and in that moment, he radiated an innocent purity that reaffirmed Sarah's faith. "Can we see the sun?" he asked, looking past her. It was as if he had not only touched heaven but carried a piece of it back with him. "Yes, sweetheart. The sun awaits," she whispered, her voice thick with emotion. Together, they stepped outside, burdened no longer by darkness, ready to bask in a light that felt both ordinary and extraordinary. As they emerged, the village streets welcomed the dawn. Neighbors gathered in clusters, laughter and jubilant praises intertwined with the fresh morning air. Some hugged, others jumped in joyous celebration, while a few stood with hands raised, a symbol of gratitude towards heaven. It was a festival punctuated by a shared miracle, but amid the celebration, an unanswered question lingered in Sarah's heart. What did Jacob's healing truly mean? Was it simply a reprieve, or was there a grander design at play? She felt a gentle tug in her spirit, drawing her deeper into reflection. "See, Mon, let us show you the garden." Jacob squealed, pulling her hand, his laughter a joyous melody that danced in the air. Sarah followed, her heart light but her mind heavy with lingering thoughts. The garden, full of color and life, seemed to bloom even brighter as if welcoming back the light itself. As they reached the familiar patch of daisies, Jacob plopped down happily, marveling at the little creatures flitting about. "Mum, look at the butterflies. They're so beautiful." His innocent joy was infectious, yet in Sarah, there was a dichotomy at play. She couldn't help but ponder what would be the cost of this miracle. With every blessing, was there not also a calling? "Jacob," she said softly, kneeling beside him, "did you see anything while you were away?" The question hung between them, an invitation to share a deeper truth. His small face turned serious, brows furrowing slightly. "I saw light, Mum. Like the sun was holding me. And there were voices, so many voices saying, 'You are loved.'" The intensity of his gaze caught her breath, his wisdom leaving no room for doubt. Those words echoed through Sarah like a clarion call. "You are loved," resonated deeply. The villagers didn't merely witness a miracle, they experienced a reminder of divine love. Could this be a new beginning, a reawakening not just for Jacob, but for the entire village? The questions kept spiraling. How could they cultivate this love? How would Jacob's testimony unfold? What journeys awaited? Just then, an unexpected chill danced through the garden, causing Sarah to shiver slightly. In that moment, she felt the sacred urgency wash over her again, thick and real. This was more than just an account of healing. It was the beginning of a new chapter, full of divine mysteries waiting to unfold. As she looked at Jacob playing joyfully, a gentle breeze rustled through the leaves, whispering secrets that only those attuned could understand. What lay ahead for their family and the village? How would they respond to the miraculous love that enveloped them all? The horizon shimmered, teasing at the secrets yet to reveal themselves. As the sun climbed higher, painting the sky in warm hues, the village buzzed with excitement. Children's laughter mixed with the distant hum of church bells. It felt like life itself was celebrating Jacob's miraculous return, but beneath the joy, Sarah sensed a quiet expectation. Each person bathed in wonder seemed to hold a piece of the divine tapestry that had just begun to unfold. "Look at the sky, Mum. It's so big." Jacob cried out, his arms wide open, a portrait of pure joy. "Do you think the sun could touch me?" A smile broke across Sarah's face, yet her heart swelled with unanswered questions. "The sun touches us all, my love," she replied, glancing upward. "It's God's light." But was the sun truly what he needed? Was it just a glimmering orb bathing the earth, or did it symbolize something deeper? As if sensing her thoughts, Jacob turned to her, eyes brimming with sincerity. "Will we keep feeling this love forever?" Tears of gratitude threatened to spill down Sarah's cheeks. Their conversation felt sacred, each word a bridge to understanding the abundant love surrounding them. "Yes, Jacob. As long as we share it, love will never fade." A group of villagers approached, drawn like moths to a flame. Their eyes sparkled with the miracle they had witnessed. "You're back!" a woman exclaimed, her voice choked with emotion. "We thought we had lost you, but God has truly granted us a miracle today." Jacob beamed, fully embracing the attention. He stood tall, the weight of his experience transformed into confident innocence. "I saw light," he exclaimed, almost reverently. It said, "You are loved." The crowd gasped, their hearts drawn closer by his words. Each person held within them a flicker of hope reigniting. Sarah felt warmth pulling at her heartstrings. Could this be the moment they all needed to redefine their lives? The village could weave the miracle into their everyday, transforming grief into gratitude. "Let us gather at the church to give thanks," called out the village leader, a sturdy man with kind eyes. There was a collective nodding, a fervent agreement that surged through the crowd, uniting them under an unspoken declaration of faith. As they walked toward the church, Sarah felt a soothing peace settle within her. Yet, the weight of her earlier thoughts had not disappeared. The chill that brushed past her in the garden replayed in her mind. If this was indeed a divine turning point, was it merely a reprieve, or part of a larger, more intricate plan? After they arrived at the church, they took their seats, hearts aligned. A hush fell over the congregation as they anticipated the testimony they were certain was about to unfold. Jacob sat in the front, his eyes gleaming, as if holding the universe's secrets. "Brothers and sisters," began the pastor, his voice wrapping around them like a warm embrace. "Today isn't just about healing. It's time for revelation." A collective breath was drawn. Sarah's spirit quickened. What depths were to be unveiled? A surge of anticipation rippled through the air, drawing emotions closer, binding them together in faith. As echoes of worship rose, Jacob's laughter chimed in with melodies of love and hope, igniting flames of community fervor. The moment shimmered with promise, but how were they to acknowledge the sacred calling that came with such a blessing? With every chorus sung, every prayer spoken, an urgency began to ripple beneath the surface. What were they being called to do? What sacrifices loomed on the horizon? The prayer crescendoed, and Sarah closed her eyes, heart racing. The mystery deepened. Was the village prepared for the weight of their healing? Were they ready to embrace the responsibilities entwined with such miracles? In that moment, poised on the brink of revelation, she sensed an unshakable presence enfolding them, a reminder that they were loved and that love demanded action. What was to come next? Would they heed the heavenly calling? As the pastor's words hung in the air, a silence enveloped the church, thick with anticipation. Sarah could feel the pulse of hope radiating from each villager gathered. Eyes glistened with unspoken emotions, hands clutched in prayerful reverence. This was not merely a healing, it was a sacred awakening. Today, the pastor continued, we bear witness to a moment more profound than we can fathom. Jacob's return is just a fragment of a larger design. It's an invitation for us all to embrace what God is revealing. His voice trembled with excitement, each syllable layered with divine intensity. Jacob grew quiet, sensing that his moment of speaking would come again soon. Sarah held her breath. What would their little boy say now? He had been at the brink of something glorious, had seen the light. Could he shine that light upon the congregation? Remember, the pastor urged, our miracles often come with purpose. What are we to learn? What are we to share? Outside, the wind picked up, rustling the leaves of the ancient oak trees lining the church grounds. Sarah's heart quickened with each gust. Was this divine wind stirring something significant within the village? A heartfelt murmur filled the room, voices blending in shared understanding. Yes. We must share. Rang out from the corner. It was Agnes, an elderly woman whose wisdom had weathered many storms. Let us not just feel the love but spread it. The joy and healing must multiply. Their hearts echoed her sentiment. Sarah felt a knot of warmth tighten around her. Could they really transform their village? Was this the year they were meant to embrace vulnerability and connection, not just celebration? Jacob, called the pastor, joyful anticipation dancing in his tone. What do you wish to say? As if on cue, the boy bounced to his feet, innocence radiating. He scanned the congregation with wide eyes. When I was gone, he began, voice quavering but full of conviction, I heard a song. It said, you are loved. And I want everyone to know it. We belong to each other because we love. His declaration rippled through the room. Laughter mixed with tears, and people nodded in agreement. Children giggled, held securely in their parents' arms, while elders glanced at each other, reflections of shared belief illuminating their faces. But just then, a shadow flickered at the edge of Sarah's awareness. Among the warmth of joy, uncertainty lingered. What if love demanded more? What if, with the acceptance of this divine revelation, came a formidable challenge? Jacob, the pastor said, cupping the boy's shoulders with gentle hands, how can we honor this love we've discovered? By helping others. Bubbled Jacob, enthusiasm bubbling generously, like the sick people. And the lonely ones. They need love too. Each point he made was like an arrow piercing through the haze of complacency. Sarah felt the urgency swelling within her. Was that the divine call echoing in Jacob's innocent voice? To extend their village beyond itself, to bend their hearts toward those who were hurting? As the congregation began to murmur in agreement, Sarah raised her hands for silence. We have to prepare ourselves for that, don't we? Her voice quivered with the weight of realization. It will take effort. We will need strength. Time. We can't just feel the love. We must choose to act. The air thickened with expectation again. Hands reached for each other, hearts synchronized in fervor. They stood at the threshold of commitment, a crossroad where faith met action. The pastor closed his eyes, raising his arms to the heavens. Lord, he whispered tremulously, guide us in our decisions. Help us embrace this calling. Show us how to serve. As prayers mingled in exhalations of hope, a cool breeze wafted through the church, lifting the spirit higher, urging them toward a deeper understanding. Yet as they prayed, Sarah felt that familiar chill brush against her. What did that truly mean for them? Was their awakening a prelude to a wielder of storms, or the dawn of a new era for the village's heart? There was reverence but also uncertainty there. Unknown loomed over them. What trials awaited them on this quest of love? The congregation buzzed with possibilities, but in the core of her being, Sarah felt the stirring of something more. The divine call was clearer now, echoing through her spirit. Would they rise up to meet it? Soon, we will have to choose, she whispered to herself, heart racing. What will that choice bring? The moment spun with divine potential, and she could hardly contain the excitement swelling within. As hope crystallized, she wondered. What would they discover next? As the swell of prayer arched through the church, a gentle hum of excitement filled the air. The congregation seemed to pulse as one living body, each heart beating in harmony with the others. Sarah could almost see the energy rise, like a wave just waiting to break forth. God is moving among us. The pastor proclaimed, his voice alive with fervor. The undeniable truth of his words created ripples of realization across the faces that surrounded her. It was not only Jacob igniting this flame, it was a divine call resonating deeper than anyone had anticipated. Jacob, eyes sparkling and filled with wonder, turned back to the people. We can change the world around us. He declared, the innocence of a child mingling with a wisdom beyond his years. If we just love each other, we can heal the hurt. The phrase reverberated, echoing through the rafters as if angels themselves were nodding in agreement. People exchanged glances, sparks of resolve igniting within. There was no denying the stirring of hearts that was taking place, it was a spiritual awakening that was just beginning, yet, that familiar chill brushed against Sarah again, whispering soft questions to her spirit. What would it require to act on this newfound call? In the depths of her mind, visions surfaced, images of late nights, tireless service, moments of vulnerability shared among strangers. It both frightened and thrilled her. Agnes stood, clutching her cane tightly. Let us offer our hands and hearts. We must open ourselves to those who might think they are alone. Her voice, though aged, rang clear and strong like a bell tolling. Love is not just felt, dear ones. Love is shown. Yes. Rang out from the pews, a chorus of agreement. Sarah's heart thumped loudly, diving deeper into possibilities. They would not just be witnessing this change, they would become it. The murmurs of excitement surged like a tide and she felt compelled to anchor their collective intention. "Let us make a list," Sarah exclaimed, "of those in our village who need our love most. The lonely, the sick, the outcast." Her voice caught, igniting a spark of recognition in the room. The pastor nodded excitedly, "A wonderful idea. We will commit." With renewed fervor, conversations erupted across the church, ideas and inspiration weaving between faces. The air buzzed with the spirit of community. It was not just about Jacob anymore, this was about their village. An ambling warmth swept over Sarah, a satisfaction blossoming in her chest. Yes, they could do this. They had a task ahead that would require striving and sacrifice, but what beautiful opportunities lay in the offering. "Will we face challenges?" Sarah posed, her brow furrowing slightly. "Certainly. But if we lean on one another, there is nothing we cannot overcome." Jacob gazed up at her, his small hand reaching for hers. "Together, we can shine even brighter," he said, his voice soft and steady. Moments passed, filled with focused chatter and heartfelt direction. A list brought laughter, joy and with it, unwavering resolve. As they prepared to put their loving intentions into motion, something shifted in the atmosphere. A shimmering light seemed to envelop the congregation, lifting their spirits, solidifying their purpose. But amid the excitement, Sarah's heart quickened again. A voice deep within whispered caution. Was the challenge ahead simply an act of service, or might it unearth deeper fears and insecurities along the way? As they wrapped up the meeting, she could feel the weight of the task beginning to settle. They were stepping into uncharted territory. The wind picked up outside, rustling the trees as if just acknowledging the village's resolve. What blessings await us in our journey? She pondered, glancing up towards the heavens. With hearts full of promise, they prayed once more, each word a commitment to the love they pledged to share. Yet as the prayers softly waned, a deeper question loomed on Sarah's spirit. How would they navigate the complexities of love when the heart was stretched thin and the road's end remained concealed? As the congregation dispersed, anticipation shimmered in the air like golden rays of sunlight breaking through the clouds. What awaited them in this vibrant commitment to love? As the congregation began to leave the warmth of the church, Sarah noticed the lingering energy that seemed to spill into the streets. It was as if the very air shimmered with promise. Jacob tugged at her hand, drawing her attention to the world outside. "Do you feel that?" he asked, eyes wide with wonder. "It's like the ground is alive." A smile danced on Sarah's lips as she breathed in the crisp evening air. "Yes, Jacob. Love has a way of stirring things up," she replied. Each step they took felt significant, filled with purpose. People milled about, some exchanging glances, others sharing warm embraces. Sarah couldn't help but feel the pull of each interaction, the shared heartbeats in that vibrant community. "Are we really going to help everyone?" Jacob's voice broke through her reverie, his gaze earnest. The heaviness of her earlier thoughts returned, whispering uncertainties. "We will try our best, my dear, but we need to remember that loving each person may look different. Some might take more time than others." As they took their place within the small group gathered by the old oak tree, Agnes began to speak again, her voice steady and nurturing. "Every person is a story. Our goal is to be a part of their narrative," she said, casting her eyes lovingly across the crowd. "Stories that heal," Sarah added, finding comfort in the shared belief. "Stories that connect us all." Excitement rippled through the group as they began discussing details, each person uniquely sharing their own thoughts about how to approach the task of reaching out. Laughter punctuated their conversations, transforming worries into shared joys. "Let us pair up," Jacob suggested, clapping his small hands together. "That way we can help each other." "Brilliant idea." Agnes agreed, expressive warmth in her voice. Pairings began to form, some familiar, some new. Sarah felt warmth sweep over her again. There was something sacred about this emerging bond, a greater purpose knitting them all together. But as pairs took their leave for the evening, Sarah found her heart fluttering with a mix of elation and anxiety. The faces of the lonely, the sick, and the lost echoed in her mind. How would she reach them? Each face held untold stories, wrapped in a silence that could feel heavier than 100 words. As dusk fell, enveloping the village in shades of blue and gold, she heard a soft voice nearby. "Are you okay?" It was Jacob again, standing by her side. "You look a little worried." "I guess I am," she admitted. "What if I don't have what it takes to help? What if I mess up?" "God wouldn't call us if he didn't believe in us," Jacob said simply, his hand reaching out to touch her arm. There was something so pure in his trust. She watched as soft clouds drifted across the sky, reflecting the golden glow of the setting sun. "You might be right," she conceded. "Can we pray?" he asked. The request settled into her spirit as they sank to their knees beside the old oak tree. In the stillness of the moment, surrounded by the fading light, they joined hands tightly, filling the air with sincere prayer. Each word hung like a golden thread, weaving their hearts into a tapestry of commitment and hope. With each request, anticipation grew. The challenge felt immense, yet a lingering whisper of faith began to build within her. Perhaps these very uncertainties were gateways to deeper connections, but as Sarah lifted her gaze to the horizon, something unexpected caught her eye. A light flickered unmistakably bright above where they knelt. Was it a trick of the light? "Do you see that, Jacob?" she whispered, her heart speeding. He nodded, his face a mixture of awe and curiosity. "What is it?" Suddenly, a feeling washed over them, and Sarah understood, this was only the beginning. God's plan was unfolding, bright before their eyes. With trembling hearts, they sensed something majestic was coming, a sign of divine affirmation. What did this flickering light mean for their journey ahead? How would it guide their mission of love? The flickering light hung like a shimmering beacon in the twilight, pulsating gently. Sarah and Jacob remained kneeling, their hands still clasped tightly, feeling the warmth of each other's presence. The world around them faded. It was just them, the tree, and the divine light that illuminated the darkness. "Do you think it's God?" Jacob breathed softly, eyes wide open in wonder. A mixture of reverence and trepidation coursed through Sarah's heart. "I believe it could be a sign," she responded, her voice trembling. Each flicker made her pulse race and her spirit lift. What kind of message was being sent? What did they need to know? Just then, a soft wind rustled through the leaves of the old oak, its branches swaying as if dancing to an unseen melody. It felt as if nature itself was responding to the presence of something holy. The golden light dimmed, then brightened with a sudden intensity, enveloping them in warmth that seemed to reach deep into their souls. "Let us get closer," Sarah whispered, her curiosity igniting like a flame. They carefully stood, still holding hands, and slowly stepped toward the glowing light. As they drew nearer, they noticed the light was not just a single spot. It seemed to swirl, taking on shapes, silent pictures that flickered with the faces of the people they wished to help. Each visage was marred with struggle yet glimmering with hope. Sarah felt her heart swell, these were the stories that had weighed on her spirit. "Look!" Jacob exclaimed, pointing to a familiar face. It was Mrs. Thompson, the elderly widow who lived alone just down the street. She looked sad. "We need to help her." "Yes." Sarah's mind raced with thoughts of how they could reach out to Mrs. Thompson. Perhaps baking together, sharing stories over warm tea, or even organizing a small gathering for her neighbors. The images in the light became clearer, and Sarah started to see how they could make connections, how love could pour through their efforts. Just then, the light shifted once more, illuminating a new figure, a young man, lost and alone, sitting on a park bench. There was desperation in his eyes, a cry for understanding. Sarah felt a pang of familiarity. "That could be Michael," she murmured softly. "He's been struggling for so long." Jacob squeezed her hand. "We can show him he's not alone." As hope surged in her heart, the warmth of faith filled the space. They hadn't been given specific instructions, but rather an awakening. Perhaps this flickering light was God's way of showing them that they were never meant to walk this path of love alone. "Look, Sarah." Jacob pointed again. "It's brightening. There must be more." Sure enough, the shapes transformed into a kaleidoscope of faces, stories intermingling in a whirlwind of divine connection. Each face was a reminder that their mission was larger than themselves, a call to embrace every corner of their community. A deep peace settled over Sarah, washing away her fears. God's hand was clear. "We will rise to this challenge, Jacob. With God's guidance, we can do this." As the last rays of sunlight slipped away, bathing them in twilight, the flickering light began to fade, leaving behind a warm glow of inspiration in their hearts. But in that hush, a question lingered: what if the light was leading them towards something even greater? What awaited them next on this sacred journey? Sarah and Jacob stood, heartbeats synchronized, ready to step into the unfolding tapestry of love and service. Through the mystery of divine calling, could they discover the hidden blessings that awaited them? As the last flickers of light danced before them, Sarah and Jacob felt a shift in the air, thick with anticipation and promise. A soft whirring breeze enveloped them, carrying distant whispers of encouragement. They exchanged glances, eyes sparkling with newfound determination. The path ahead glimmered like a road paved in gold. "Do you feel that?" Jacob asked, feeling the gentle call of the wind against his skin. It was as if the universe itself was nudging them forward. "Yes," Sarah replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's like we're being pulled towards something wonderful." With that, they turned their backs to the fading light and took steps into the twilight. Each footfall echoed with purpose. Together, they wove through memories of their own struggles, recalling how kindness had once lifted their spirits when darkness loomed. They made their way to the quaint neighborhood square, where the sound of laughter floated on the evening air. The comforting hum of community life beckoned them closer. The flicker of the previous light had ignited their hearts into flames of action. "Look!" Jacob pointed to a gathering of children playing tag at the park. "We should join them." Sarah nodded, her heart warmed by the sight. "Let us remind them of the joy in simply being together," she said, stepping forward. As they approached the children, laughter bubbled from their lips, spilling joy into the air. "Can we play too?" Sarah asked, kneeling beside the smallest girl. The girl's eyes lit up, and with a quick nod, she ran off to initiate a game. Sarah and Jacob joined in, their spirits lifting with every shared giggle and fun-filled chase. With each round of their new game, they naturally drew others, and a few parents sitting on benches joined in by clapping and cheering. The moment felt ethereal, as if the laughter had spun a protective web of love around them. In that space, they felt God's presence and affirmation of their calling. After a while, they took a break and gathered at a nearby picnic table, breathless and beaming. Jacob watched the children and their parents blend into a beautiful sight, caring for one another in moments of play. "We're making a difference, aren't we?" he said, his face aglow with satisfaction. "Definitely," Sarah replied, a comforting peace resting in her heart. "I believe that this is just a beginning." Their joy was interrupted as a voice cried out. It was an older woman, her long hair streaked with gray, eyes reflecting a weary soul. "Excuse me," she called, stepping closer. "Could you help me?" The woman's hands trembled slightly as she approached. "I've lost my way. My heart feels heavy, and I just need someone to listen." Sarah felt the flicker of their earlier experience surge through her. "Of course," she answered gently, gesturing for the woman to sit. "We'd love to listen. Please share your story." As the woman settled in, Jacob's heart raced with the realization of what they were called to do next. They were being entrusted with another person's burden, a wonderful yet daunting responsibility. With every word that escaped the woman's lips, Sarah and Jacob saw the flickering light they had witnessed earlier in a new way. It was no longer just a vision, it was the spark igniting their mission to bring hope to those feeling lost. But even as they comforted the woman, doubts crept into Sarah's mind. What if their efforts were not enough? What if they couldn't hold the light for everyone? And yet, amidst this turmoil, a new thought emerged: what if the key to their divine journey was not in what they could do alone, but instead in the love they shared together? As twilight deepened into night, Sarah and Jacob sensed another awakening. Could this connection forge a bond stronger than any fear that sought to hold them back? What unexpected revelations awaited them on the heart's journey ahead? As the stars twinkled overhead, the warmth of the woman's story lingered in the air, wrapping around Sarah and Jacob like a comforting blanket. Her voice, though shaky, unfolded layers of sorrow and hope. Each word carried the weight of her journey, yet within it, a flicker of resolve began to spark. "I've lost my husband," she began, her voice breaking slightly. "He was my compass, my guiding light. Now, I drift aimlessly, and each day feels like a burden." Jacob felt his heart clench. The depth of her pain was palpable. But as he looked at Sarah, he noticed her gaze shifting, reflecting a blend of empathy and fierce compassion. "Your husband sounds like a wonderful person," Sarah said softly. "Even though he isn't here with you, I believe his love still guides you. It's okay to feel lost. You're not alone." The woman's eyes shimmered with unshed tears, and Sarah instinctively reached out, placing her hand over the woman's trembling fingers. "You know," Jacob interjected, "finding your way doesn't mean you need to do it by yourself. We all need each other. Holding on to the memories of our loved ones makes them a part of us, guiding us in ways we sometimes don't see." A rush of something divine seemed to pass between them, binding their hearts in an unseen thread. In that moment, the triangle of their shared strength illuminated the night, dispelling the thick fog of despair. The woman inhaled sharply, her breath transforming into a quiet sob, releasing the weight of her grief. "I'm so scared," she whispered, "but you both remind me that the light can shine even through darkness." Jacob nodded, bolstered by her admission. In that shared vulnerability, he realized that their mission extended beyond mere kindness. It was a calling rooted in deep compassion. "Together, we can shine our lights brighter," he encouraged. "You've taken a step forward just by sharing your story with us." As they spoke, the stillness of the park cradled their moment. Laughter from the children echoed softly in the background, a constant reminder of the joy of community. For Sarah and Jacob, the little ones' voices were like a chorus of hope, reinforcing that love could bridge any gap: age, loss, or pain. The woman leaned in, her expression shifting from despair to curiosity. "Could the light I felt while playing with you all be my husband's spirit? Is that what love feels like?" "Yes," Sarah exclaimed, her spirit quickening. "That is love. It transcends what we can see. Love speaks in whispers, and sometimes through laughter, inviting us back to life and hope." Jacob felt an unexpected lightness wash over him. It was profound, this realization that seeping into their hearts, love was not bound by earthly limits. They were conduits for a greater journey, a demonstration of divine connection. As the conversation deepened, Sarah felt compelled to share an insight flashing through her mind. "What if our next step is to create a circle of light? We could bring together those who need to share their burdens and those willing to listen." The thought illuminated the gathering darkness all around them. Jacob's eyes widened at the idea's potential. A community of hope. A safe haven where hearts and stories intertwine. "We could even set up regular nights of sharing, allowing God's presence to mend the broken." The woman smiled, a genuine joy breaking through her sorrow. "I would love to bring others like me to this circle. I want to help more people find their way." They shared excited glances. This was more than an idea, it was a divine direction taking shape. Hope surged within them, a tangible energy that resonated beyond mere words. And in that sacred moment, a truth emerged, breathing life into their inspirations. Sometimes, hope doesn't come in great sweeping gestures but in the gentle gathering of souls, sharing the lanterns of their hearts. As they sat wrapped in this revelation, the night swelled with mystery. What would their next steps unfold? How many souls awaited their light? Just as the questions flourished, a sudden chill swept through the air, brushing against their skin, a portent of new challenges ahead. But one thing was clear, their journey of connection was only beginning. What divine encounters lay in wait, beckoning them forward into the unknown, where love awaited. As dawn broke over the village, the first rays of sunlight poured like golden warmth into the hearts of those who had gathered anew at the church. Joyous chatter filled the space as the congregation reconvened, transformed by their previous night's revelations. Sarah stood among them, her heart an overflowing vessel of gratitude and purpose. She felt it deeply, the divine call that had ignited their spirits. Jacob leaned against her, his youthful energy palpable. "Mum," he exclaimed, his face alight with enthusiasm, "we can do this, can't we? We'll help everyone." "Yes, darling," Sarah replied, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. "Together, we can make a difference." The congregation buzzed with anticipation. As they settled into their seats, the pastor began with a heartfelt prayer for guidance. "Lord, fill our hearts with your love. Show us the way to carry this miracle forward." Sarah closed her eyes, and warmth enveloped her as she felt an unmistakable presence of the Holy Spirit, guiding them. The air thickened with expectation, resonating with the potential that lay before them. When the pastor opened the floor for testimonies, Jacob eagerly raised his hand. "I want to share what I heard when I was away," he said, excitement spilling from his lips. "I heard that we are all loved." Whispers of awe swept through the crowd. Sarah's heart raced. Her son had become a beacon of hope. "What do we do with that love?" the pastor asked gently, urging the congregation to lean into the divine challenge ahead. "By helping others," Jacob shouted back, eyes wide with fervor. "Everyone needs to know they're loved." His innocence burst through like spring blooms pushing through winter frost, invigorating the gathering. Sarah felt a tidal wave of encouragement wash over the room. This was their moment. "Let us build that circle of light, as we talked about," she called out to the congregation. "A place where stories can be shared, where burdens are lightened in community." Cheers erupted in supportive agreement. Agnes stood, strength radiating from her. "The time for action is now. We can gather each week to share, to listen, and to support each other." One by one, attendees began to suggest ideas: home-cooked meals for the elderly, prayer circles, and community nights filled with laughter and stories. Her heart soared at the thought of all the possibilities. This wasn't simply about their healing, it was an invitation for the divine to weave every soul into an unbreakable tapestry of love. As the meeting concluded, plans took shape. They would begin with those most vulnerable: Mrs. Thompson, young Michael, and all those bereaved, forgotten, or lost. Sarah felt unity surge through the village, wrapping its arms around them like a cocoon. Stepping outside into the brightening day, the village seemed to pulse with newfound vibrancy. Laughter danced in the air, and the fragrances of blooming flowers surrounded them. "Look!" Jacob exclaimed, pointing to the bursts of color in the garden. "It's like the whole world is celebrating." "It is, sweetheart," Sarah agreed, marveling at the beauty around them, a physical testament to the new beginnings they were embracing. With purpose in their hearts, they would step into each life. Each visit, each act of kindness would be infused with lingering love, a manifestation of God's miracles. As they stretched their boundaries and ventured beyond their comfort zones, days turned into weeks, and soon the little village became a tapestry of shared experiences. Neighbors united in communal dinners, sing-alongs, and evenings of heartfelt sharing. Connections blossomed like flowers in spring, radiant and vibrant, igniting the hearts of all involved. In quiet moments, Sarah would glance at Jacob, the light of her life, who had become not only her son but her teacher. He showed her that love didn't just illuminate, it transformed. With each soul they touched, the calling grew deeper. They learned of strength through vulnerability and the power of community. As they sat together one evening, sharing stories under a glowing sky, Jacob turned to her, his eyes shining with sincerity. "Mum," he said, "do you think all this really matters?" Tears filled Sarah's eyes. "More than you know, my love. Each person we help, each story we hear, brings us closer to heaven." Jacob's face lit up like the stars above them. Then let us keep going. The light is so bright. Yes, let us. This is just the beginning, Sarah responded, the weight of her fears lifted, filled instead with assurance. In that moment of communion, they understood true love, when shared authentically, had the power to heal not only individual wounds but whole communities. As they embraced the mission ahead of them, they did so knowing this tapestry of love was only the beginning of many beautiful divine revelations to come, and as each heart in the village engaged, one clear truth emerged amidst the laughter, tears, and joyful celebrations: they indeed were never alone. God walked beside them, each step illuminating their path, guiding them toward a future steeped in divine love, awaiting further miraculous unfoldings. So, dear friends, let us rise to our calling. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that inspire and uplift. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread the love. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this powerful ending that transformed our hearts. And share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of divine love and hope. You need to show your support now, because only true servants of God understand the importance of spreading the light. Let us change the world together.